Hi, folks, and welcome to KPIs for Incident Response Metrics and Measurements. My name is Ryan Wisniewski, and I'll be your instructor for this course. This course is really focused in on how do we start to tell the story of our incident response program? What effects do we have on our organization? Why do we exist? And how do we get better? And what we really want to do is tell that story with hard data evidence through our metrics and measurements programs. We're going to develop various metrics that we can use to describe our incident response activities as we progress through the incident response lifecycle. Hopping into the course roadmap, what we see is we're going to take a deep dive into a variety of areas. We're going to start with an introduction to incident response and risk management frameworks. We're then going to go into metrics fundamentals and explain really what are metrics used for, why do they matter, and how do we use them effectively to manage our program. The next couple sections, we're going to cover various metrics and how do we collect this information? How do we analyze this information through the detection, the response, and the remediation phases, and carry that right through to how do we measure our recovery from security incidents? And how do we start to think about how do we tell our story through metrics reporting? So we have all these wonderful metrics from detection to response to remediation to recovery. We have our lessons learned. But in totality, why does all of this matter? And that's what we're going to cover in the final stage of this course on how do we build and present our metrics in a very meaningful way to leadership so they understand what we're doing and they can continue to invest in our program to let us get better at what we do. Now, coming into this course, you may be an expert already in incident response. You may just know how to spell incident response. That's all right. We're going to introduce you with all the prerequisite knowledge that you're going to need to find value out of this course. When we think about incident response, we should start with what is an incident? And I have the US CERT definition of an incident here. In the next course, we're going to go through various definitions. And just know for this course, we're going to keep it pretty simple. It's any event that has an impact on confidentiality, availability, or integrity of any system or data within your organization. Now, that definition is going to vary based on your compliance and business requirements, but I think that the simple definition is the best way to think about it as we're starting to think about the metrics program that we're going to build. The second key piece of information that I need everybody to know is what are the phases of incident response? There's a few different frameworks out there. Most people will focus in on one. They're really all the same. So we'll just focus in on the NIST phases of incident response, where we'll talk about preparation. What are we doing to prepare for an incident? Detection and analysis. What are we doing? What logs are we looking at? What are we trying to do to identify a security incident? Then we'll move on to the containment, eradication, and recovery phase, where we're actually actively kicking the adversary out of the environment and recovering the business to normal operations. And finally, we'll look at all of our lessons learned and try to understand what's the best way to improve on our activities in the post event activity phase. By the end of this class, we're going to learn a ton. So ultimately, what I'm trying to do is give you all the tools and the knowledge necessary to tell your story to your leadership teams with a data-driven approach on here's what your incident response program is currently doing for the organization, and here's various ways that we can improve it. With a metrics-driven approach, you will be able to tell this story in a very logical fashion, in a way that upper management, they don't need to understand the details of cybersecurity, but they do understand what the return on their investments is going to be. And you're going to be able to tell that story very fluently as we're building these skills throughout this course. So I hope everybody's ready to hop right into it. We're going to start off this course with the incident response fundamentals section, where we'll define some key definitions and topics as we progress through our incident response thought process. I'll see you in the next one.